Let's start with a thought, maybe something you feel too, that constant sort of pull to be in control.
Ah, yes. That need to manage things, plan everything out, have your hands firmly on the wheel, so to speak.
Exactly.
Ah,
It's a really powerful feeling. But honestly, sometimes it just leaves you feeling completely drained, like you're fighting upstream all the time.
it's interesting, isn't it, why we feel that need so strongly? Maybe it's about security, trying to handle all the uncertainty life throws at us.
Could be. But what happens when trying so hard to control things actually makes us feel, well, worse, more anxious?
Right? That's the paradox.
Yeah.
So maybe there's another way.
Yeah, what if instead of gripping tighter, there's actually strength in letting go a bit?
Letting go, how do you mean?
Not in a passive way like giving up, but more like actively choosing to trust. Well, a wisdom that's maybe bigger than our own immediate view.
A larger perspective. I like that. Because let's face it, our own understanding, it's pretty limited, right?
Totally. We see our little corner, our experiences.
Yeah. Which reminds me of that passage, for my thoughts are not your thoughts. Neither are your ways my ways, declares the Lord.
Isaiah 55. Yeah.
As the heavens are higher than the earth, so are my ways higher than your ways, and my thoughts than your thoughts. It really speaks to that difference in scale, doesn't it? A perspective far beyond ours.
It really does. So, okay, let's dig into that. What does it actually look like day to day? It's not about just, letting everything fall apart.
No, definitely not abdicating responsibility. It's more like an active choice, isn't it?
Mm,
Choosing trust instead of that constant tension of trying to force things.
right. So that's what we're exploring today, this idea of, letting God drive, not just as a saying, but as something that could genuinely change how we experience the world, maybe bring some peace.
And what's really interesting, I think, is how letting go of that need to control everything can actually free up so much mental space.
Yeah, how so?
Well, if you're not spending all your energy trying to predict and manage every single possibility, maybe you have more clarity, more presence for the things you can actually influence.
Ah, I see. It's like shifting your focus.
Exactly. A subtle shift, but potentially a really significant one.
It makes me think of like white knuckling the steering wheel versus trusting someone who really knows the road.
That's a great analogy. You might actually find the journey smoother. Maybe even, dare I say, enjoy the view a bit more.
Right. And it's not about ignoring what needs doing, but maybe about where we place our energy and our faith.
Precisely. Because honestly, the exhaustion that comes from constantly trying to anticipate and fix every potential problem, it's immense. It just drains you emotionally, mentally.
Totally. So maybe there's a more sustainable path forward, one that involves a bit more acceptance, trusting something beyond what we can immediately see or control.
And this is where it gets really practical, I think. You look at real life example.
Okay, like what?
Well, think about that businesswoman in South Africa. Her business was doing great, really successful by any external measure.
Right. I remember reading about this.
But she felt this really strong pull, almost a calling, to close it all down, to go into full-time ministry.
Wow. That sounds counterintuitive. Risky, even.
From a purely worldly perspective, absolutely.
Mhm.
But what's so compelling is what she said after she did it.
What was that?
She talked about finding this incredible sense of liberation, a freedom I never knew I needed, I think were her words.
Freedom.
Yeah.
Yeah.
It kind of suggests that the very things we hold on to so tightly for security, maybe they're actually boxing us in,
Mm.
and letting go, releasing that grip, can open up paths we never expected.
That's powerful. It makes you think.
And then there's another story, quite different on the surface. A farmer in Texas during a really bad drought,
Okay. Facing ruin, I imagine.
pretty much. Crops failing, livelihood on the line. And his first response wasn't just frantic attempts to fix it, which probably wouldn't have worked anyway.
So what did he do?
He prayed for rain. Now you could just see that as, giving up, resignation,
Mm.
or maybe it was something deeper. Maybe it was acknowledging, okay, I've done all I can. This is beyond my power now,
Yeah.
appealing to something or someone else.
And what happened?
Well, the story goes that a timely rain came, saved his crops. But more than that, it apparently sparked a real renewal of faith in his whole community.
Wow. So it wasn't just about him.
No, it raises that question, doesn't it? What opens up when we actually admit our limits and place our trust somewhere else?
What really connects those two for me is that element of surrender. Letting go of their own plan, their own control, and then seeing something unexpected and positive happen.
Exactly. The businesswoman literally said she gave God the driver's seat.
Yeah.
And the farmer's story, it just highlights trusting beyond human fixes when things seem impossible.
And if we tie that back to that idea we started with, the higher perspective, Isaiah 55.
Right. These stories feel like little glimpses of that, don't they? When our limited view bumps up against a bigger reality, what looks like a disaster or a dead end to us.
Hmm.
Maybe it's just one step in a larger plan we can't see yet.
So, thinking about you listening right now,
Hmm.
what could this mean? Maybe that constant, intense need to control everything, to manage every single detail. Maybe it's actually creating more stress. And maybe it's not even the most effective way.
It's a thought worth considering, definitely. That core idea,
Hmm.
perhaps we aren't actually meant to carry the weight of absolutely everything ourselves.
Hmm.
And by consciously deciding to, release some of that pressure, that need for absolute control, maybe we actually make space
Space for what?
for unexpected solutions, maybe for moments of grace,
Hmm.
for finding a different kind of strength we didn't know we had.
Which leads us, I think, to a really important point for personal reflection. For you listening,
Yeah.
where are you holding on so tightly right now?
Mhm.
And what part of your life is that grip causing, like, friction or strain?
Mm.
And just imagine, what would it feel like? What might it even look like to consciously loosen that grip today?
Mm.
To maybe hand that area over and trust it to that larger wisdom we talked about.
It's about finding that line, isn't it?
Mhm.
Between doing what's ours to do, taking responsible action,
Right.
and that anxious, almost compulsive need to control outcomes
Yeah.
we simply can't dictate. It's not about being passive.
You know.
It's more about aligning what we do with a deeper trust. And like we saw in those examples, sometimes that act of surrender, that giving over, it can lead to surprising freedom, unexpected health.
And even have a positive ripple effect we didn't foresee.
Exactly.
So as you go about your day, maybe just hold on to that question. What are you trying so hard to control that
Yeah.
might actually bring you more peace if you could just let it go?
Because maybe you were never meant to carry it all alone.
Yeah. When you let God drive, perhaps you make space for miracles. Small ones, big ones, unexpected turns.
It's about opening up to that possibility, the potential for a different kind of peace, a clearer direction, maybe, when we release that constant need to be the only one in charge.